The pain of the death of a child never goes away. There's a New Mexico family still grappling with the death of a little boy that happened more than 40 years ago.
Officially, records show 12-year-old Vaughn Bishop froze to death while trying to escape a boys' ranch for troubled teens in northeast New Mexico. Tonight, his family is coming out to say they believe something more sinister may have happened to him, and they're asking state police to make a bold move. As 4 investigator Christian Ramirez reports tonight, the family believes Vaughn may have been killed by the man in charge of the ranch, a Catholic priest known as a prolific pedophile.
In a small cemetery outside of Farley, New Mexico, Vaughn Bishop's headstone has stood for 43 years. Vaughn Bishop's family has stood by for those 43 years with questions and doubt.
It's been something that I've thought about every single day of my life. There's not been a day that I haven't.
With Vaughn, there were 8 kids in the Bishop family. Yvette Goldsmith is number 7. Her brother Vaughn was number 6. Her brother Alan was number 5.
We were poor, just like anyone else. Alan and Vaughn had a really, bad habit of going and stealing. They would steal food from places.
Yvette doesn't remember if Alan and Vaughn were sent away because of a judge's order or because her single mother voluntarily let them go. Either way, Alan and Vaughn were forced to leave their home in Roswell and move to the Hacienda de los Muchachos ranch in the tiny northeast New Mexico community of Farley. It's in ruins now, but not so long ago, this was a place of nightmares. Catholic priest Ed Donnellan opened the hacienda in the 1970s and ran it through donations from Catholic parishioners. Donnellan died in 1994, but his legacy of horror has endured. 1 year ago, a former volunteer told 4 Investigates of what the boys here had to endure.
He said that on an occasion, Father Ed would put his mouth on him. He was going to give him oral sex.
Through court filings, we now know Father Donnellan chose this remote location so that he could have unchecked access to the dozens of boys he took in. Court records state he raped them and enacted cruel and strict punishments on them. Life inside the hacienda with Father Ed was torture. While Alan and Vaughn endured abuse inside the hacienda, Yvette and the older siblings lived in Roswell.
I thought it was my mother screaming, just this piercing scream. It wasn't. It was my older sister, Eldora. And we went all the way into the house, and that's when my mom told us that Vaughn had passed away.
A newspaper clipping from January 1976 described Vaughn's death as exposure after running away from the hacienda. The article states Vaughn ran away with another 14-year-old boy who survived.
I think that I've had so many questions because it doesn't make any sense. I don't see how, as tiny as Vaughn was, the weather conditions, the way that they were that night, that we know now, but we even knew then how cold it was and that it was a blizzard.
Yvette and some of her other family members have doubted the story of Vaughn's death. For one, he was found dead 50 miles away from the hacienda.
And then we're talking about 1976. What kind of clothing, what kind of shoes would they have had? I just don't see how Vaughn would have lived that long and how he would have been able to make it that far. Say someone gave them a ride, some nice, kind stranger well, why in the middle of a blizzard would they kick him out of the car?
And Yvette doubts Vaughn, who was younger than Alan, would try to escape the hacienda without him. Alan died several years ago.
Alan was always the leader. Alan led everything, and Vaughn didn't do anything without Alan, nothing. I could see Alan running away without Vaughn, but I could never see Vaughn running away without Alan.
Yvette and some of her other family members can't help but wonder if Vaughn died inside the hacienda and Father Donnellan drove him out 50 miles.
That I always felt like something wasn't right.
Like many details about what happened at the hands of Catholic priests in New Mexico, there aren't many public documents about Vaughn's death or his time at the hacienda. However, the 14-year-old boy who allegedly ran away with Vaughn sued the Catholic Church in 2017. In contrast to Yvette's concerns, victims. The lawsuit claims the boys ran away, risking their lives in the January weather because the sexual abuse of Father Donnellan was intolerable. But still, there is no evidence that law enforcement investigated Vaughn's death extensively, and for that reason, Yvette Goldsmith plans to ask New Mexico State Police to reopen this case.
I would like to have Vaughn's body exhumed if that was possible, and an autopsy done.
The family believes Vaughn's remains may hold answers to all of their questions. Why should people care? This is a situation that happened in 1976. Why is this still important today?
Because Vaughn was a little boy that had just turned 12. And it could have been anyone's little brother or big brother or son or grandson. And he should matter.
Chris Ramirez, 4 Investigates.
New Mexico State Police have not said yet if they will reopen Vaughn Bishop's case. In a statement from a department spokesman, he wrote, "The New Mexico State Police takes every crime reported to our agency seriously, whether it happened 10 minutes ago or 10 years ago. State police agents are committed to helping victims find justice for the wrongdoing of criminals. Armed with any new information the family provides, state police cold case agents will reevaluate the facts of the case and follow any additional leads that may be presented." The Archdiocese of Santa Fe did not comment on this specific case. However, church leaders have repeatedly stated that church protocols and procedures have changed to better protect children. Additionally, the church now has a better system for reporting wrongdoing by clergy.